how can you avoid getting the emotional bends? I'm here with Rick Wilkes from ThrivingNow.com.
And this is Kathy Bartuli from theintimacydojo.com. And when you're diving, and you're diving really deep, and you're going deep into an experience, as you're heading back to the surface, you need to stop. You need to be aware and slow down. Mm-hmm. Or things happen inside of your, in diving, it's the nitrogen starts to escape and bubble up. Well, in emotional experiences, what happens, Kathy?
I think that some of us feel like we need to stay to the last minute, and then we kind of rip ourselves away. Lord knows I have fingers pointing back to me. And then we're kind of bereft. There's this like ripping sensation, and like I would just feel grief stricken and be walking through the airport kind of disjointed, like what just happened. And so it's kind of the emotional bends. I didn't give myself enough time to kind of acclimate. And yesterday, Rick and I went to this amazing hike through Alum Rock Park, which is beautiful this time of year. And we were coming back down the hill. We had a lot to do, so we were kind of like, we should get back to it. And we're like, wait a minute, we just had this wonderful 3-hour odyssey and looking at waterfalls and having deep connection with nature. And we realized that we needed to pause, and we found a picnic bench, and we sat down in a pretty scenic area with another waterfall. And we let ourselves come back a little more slowly. And then when we got to the car, we were much more calm and grounded and ready to go on with our world. But we gave ourselves some time and some ability to kind of signaling to our system that, hey, this event, this odyssey is coming to a close. And I don't think a lot of people know how to do that.
No, I think that most of the time as humans, we react. Oh, all of a sudden now this person's leaving. What's my reaction? It's not even a thought. It's just your body starts reacting with a sense of loss or disconnection, or maybe a distraction. Like, okay, I can't feel these feelings, so I'm going to bolt off and dive into something else. I often find myself in these situations cleaning the house, which, is well praised by people who want me to clean their house. But it's a reaction often. And what we're talking about here by avoiding the bends is, being aware that when we're making transitions, when we're changing states, that there is something that's a softer response. It means feeling into your body, like as we were heading down toward the car, I started noticing that I was getting activated, and if it had continued on a little bit more without softening and becoming present and grounded and pausing, I would have been anxious, and I wouldn't necessarily have known why I was anxious. I would have had to think of something like, oh, I'm afraid of this, or I'm worried about that. And as we took the time to avoid the bends, we both were allowing energy to rise and then settle, not be suppressed, but just grounded, like making a transition. We could feel not just the altitude change, but also the energetic change. We were preparing our body for a softer re-entry into people being around. Like we were way up where there weren't that many people, and then we were coming down to where there were parties and families.
Yeah, it was Easter Sunday, so there was a lot of people out picnicking. I think part of the reason we struggle with this is we're not taught this as children or role modeled this.
No.
And what I've noticed is people often, when they're separating, either they get cold and distant, or an event is ending, or they pick fights with each other. Unless there's not a ritual or something they can do to kind of bring it in. Or they cling, yeah, or cry. And there's nothing wrong with tears, and there's nothing wrong with, being wherever you are.
Yeah.
But I really liked yesterday what Rick and I would do is like, hey, I feel like we're moving a little too fast. Could we pause over here? I need a little more time. And then when we got to the car, we had more, I felt like we were able to step into the next event, the next thing, much more effectively, and we were able to get more done.
We even decided to wait until we were out of the park there's a drive down, and we decided that before we figured out what we were going to do next, where we were going to get something to eat, we paused and we said, oh, we're going to wait till we're out of the park and then feel for a place that feels good to pull over and then do that. And so this is an invitation to look at the times and places and spaces where you're making a transition, where the experience is coming to a close, where you're going to be moving into a different type of work or a different type of engagement, or even coming home from work.
How
A
can
lot
you
of people
signal?
have a difficult time when they walk in the door. They're still in work mode, and there's still like something rising inside of their system, things that they didn't get done. And this kind of transition can really help your intimacy and your connection with others.
Absolutely. So if you can find little ways you can signal yourself, like when Rick visits, I have some other people that when they come, we'll have a long, very intense work weekend, and it's hard for like, how are we going to end this? One of my things is I always like to sit and watch them pack. It's a signal for my system that we're kind of closing the container. It's very healing for me, and it helps me transition. And I try to always have something fun for myself to do when I get back, even if it's a 5-minute thing I can do when I get back and I'm at the house alone. So we invite you to just notice, how might you avoid getting the emotional bends? We'd love to hear comments and thoughts below.
Yeah, thank you so much.